Hi, beautiful souls. Today's episode is all around healing. How, for some women, healing can be overcoming some really big trauma in their life. For other women, it can be simply overcoming and healing the need to see themselves with more confidence and more beauty and more love and self-acceptance. And every woman's journey is different. There are some women that feel they don't have enough to offer the world because they feel like they haven't maybe struggled enough or they haven't overcome challenges, and they feel that their story is not worthy enough of sharing. And I want to invite you today to look at your individual healing journey as unique to you, explain to you a bit about what the difference in healing is, what it means, the different levels, and also on the other extreme, how sometimes we can become so obsessed with our healing that we forget to live. I can't wait to share this with you, angels. Let's dive in. Good morning, my beautiful friends. I am coming to you from my jetty this morning. I had this episode in my mind that I wanted to share, and I always ask for God, Source, Universe to pour through me like a channel and share. Use me like a conduit. Whatever needs to come through will come through. And this morning I thought to myself, you know what? I just had such a magical morning outside, like just this pure ecstatic bliss. And I thought I need to come and share with you down by the water this morning, and I'll share with you why. I am going to do my Reiki 2 training today, which I'm super excited about, Reiki level 2. And I've got Kira sitting here with me, my beautiful golden retriever. She's just plonked down beside me just as I'm about to start recording. And it's just been one of those mornings where the water, is like glass out here. I've watched the sunrise. I had like all of these tiny little moments. I'll share with you soon. It'll all make sense why they're relevant, right? But I walked out this morning. I got up super early and I had all of these ideas kind of coming through to me. I'm excited about my Reiki level 2 that I've got coming up today. And I need to get a podcast. Not I need to, I want to, but I need to get it done before the weekend because we're off on a bit of a road trip. We are Tom and I are heading up to 1770. I haven't been up there before because we did lots of overseas travel with our kids. We would just pull them out of school and travel heaps when they were younger. So we haven't actually explored a lot of Australia, and a few of our friends have decided we're going to go up to 1770, take a bit of a road trip, take all our jet skis up and ski over to Lady Musgrave Island, which is like the bottom of the Great Barrier Reef. And it's like out in the ocean. Apparently there's a part where you can't see land, and we're used to kind of skiing out here around Straddie and we go out in the ocean. I'm fine with that. But this will be next level different, kind of skiing over to the island out in the middle of the ocean, pure trust. And also it just depends on the weather. Depends on how the weather is. If the weather's not good, obviously we're not going to do it. So whatever's meant to be will be. But I need to get this recorded to have it released when I'm away next week. And so I thought to myself, okay, this morning I'll come down, I'll record the episode. As I've walked outside, it was just stunning. The sunrise was spectacular, and I could see my little bluebird sitting on my jetty. I could hear there was lorikeets chirping in the they're lorikeets, the green ones that are at Currumbin Sanctuary. They were there's a whole heap of them in the tree outside. There's been eagles circling. The sunrise was beautiful, and just as the sun was coming up, and I'm reading some of my oracle cards, these pelicans flew past the sunrise, like on the horizon, like a V. I love watching pelicans fly. They're enormous. They're just majestical, beautiful birds. And I counted them, and there was 22. And then a couple of the cards I pulled, one of the cards was number 22. And also the cards that I pulled, I'll share with you. This will all make sense in a moment why it's all relevant. There were 3 cards that I pulled. The first card is all around expansion of your spiritual purpose and your sacred responsibilities taking place. Divine potential within you is awakening at a higher turn of the creative spiral of consciousness. This oracle is a prophecy of your ascension and grace. And then it kind of goes in to talk about how The oracle foretells of welcoming in a new phase in your life. And I'm really feeling this at the moment. I've been doing a lot of work on releasing, you would have heard about it in my last couple of episodes, releasing some of my limiting blocks, my fears, my limiting beliefs. And the oracle indicates the discovery and development and expression of your divine talents, an increasingly public profile, which moves you into the spotlight, which can help you fulfill your divine life mission, provided you keep your inner connection to spirit as your highest priority. The oracle speaks of soul healing around matters of trust, spirit, mother, and abundance. And this card's kind of talking about the feeling drunk on divine bliss. And that's how I felt this morning. I've been feeling that a lot lately, just feeling drunk on divine bliss, like driving around going, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. Just really taking in all of the world and just being lost in its beauty. And it's like that little baby that gets drunk on milk. I remember with my kids when they would get almost like they have that drunk milk look in their face after a big feed. So that card was all around that. Then the next two cards I pulled, two of these actually fell out of my lap. I was only going to plan to do one. The first one is around number 22, Initiation by Fire, which is like a life-changing spiritual cleansing. Your life will never be the same again. It talks about like the fire going through and burning and clearing away, like this rise of the phoenix. You're able to rise again and burning away your doubts, your blocks, your limiting beliefs, the things that have been holding you back, your attachments. And that was all around that card. Then the next card I pulled, which was Initiation by Water, which means your spiritual path this lifetime involves you're becoming a clear channel for spirit. And this was all around clearing out it's all around like releasing the sediment so that you can channel through that clear being a clear channel for spirit, like water, like this cleansing. So it's like the fire of burning away and then the cleansing water coming through, revitalizing, replenishing you. And it's a really, really beautiful cards. And then I thought about it and went, this is so fitting because I've got my Reiki training today. I'm about to take a little bit of a road trip, which will be really, really nice because I am feeling a bit of a need to just have a bit of fun and disconnect from work and everything a little bit. And the topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about today and why these cards are fitting, I'll share with you why, is all around healing and all around, I guess, the definition of healing around. I'll just share with you. I'll just dive in. But the purpose of this episode is all around healing because sometimes people think, I don't need healing. Sometimes people can obsess over their healing. Sometimes people get a bit confused by what healing actually is. And healing means, like if you look it up in the dictionary, it actually means like to return to this complete state, a return to wholeness, a return to just optimal, like whether it be health, but just returning you to this complete state, is being healed. And I was reflecting this morning what come up as I'm sitting, having my raw cacao, watching the sunrise, watching the pelicans, sitting there in my little bliss bubble. I thought about how I went through a phase of feeling like I don't have enough to offer. And I know that a lot of women will relate to this. So I'm going to talk about a few different things and you will relate to different things that I'm going to talk about. You might not relate to anything. I don't know. Take out of this. If you walk away with one thing, I'm happy, right? But I would think about, as I come into this role in the last couple of years and I'm podcasting a lot more, I am working in a bit more of, let's say, the healing space with my yoga, with my Pilates, with the retreats, with everything that I do. There was a part of me that felt almost like, who am I to teach this? Because I haven't overcome any big trauma, okay? So healing and trauma can be so open to a whole range of perspective. It can mean different things for different people. What one person finds traumatic, it might not be that big a deal to somebody else. And what other people feel, other people have to overcome some really, really deep things in their life. Other people have minor issues that they have to heal with. But it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? There is no bigger than, better than, deeper than, more traumatic experience. Everything is so unique to the individual. So don't discount somebody else's journey, somebody else's, trauma or insecurities or challenges or obstacles that they have to overcome, because it is so different and unique for every single being on this planet, okay? But we all have to undergo some form of, and we will for a whole life, some form of healing. And I would think to myself, I would think about some of my favorite authors, okay? Some of these big, powerful teachers. And I know through watching and learning and reading about their story that they may have overcome, some kind, like Tony Robbins, for instance. His mum had a lot of different dads in his life, and he didn't have that kind of stable father figure. And he went through a lot of maybe abandonment. He went through a lot of his own issues, which helped transform him into the leader and speaker that he is. Gabby Bernstein's another one I read and listen to. She's overcome a lot of addictions in her life to turn her life around. Who else? Louise Hay. Louise Hay has overcome a lot of sexual abuse and rape and trauma and breast, I think it was breast, but she went through cancer. So she overcome a lot, and she talks about, gosh, she's got some amazing work as well about the power to heal your life. Who else? Wayne Dyer. He went through a lot of issues in his early childhood with having an absent father, and going through the foster. He was an orphan, basically, and a lot of teachers and a lot of people that I see now, they've overcome some really big, I would consider some big trauma, right? And then I thought about, and I would sit with it and think, who am I to be a leader, a teacher, a person in the world to help people, because I'm just ordinary, I'm just normal. I haven't had big traumas in my life. And I would think about, if I was to look back on, I had an amazing childhood. I didn't have any, big traumas or any burdens in my childhood. I'm still in a family I've got two sisters. My mum and dad are still together. We had a beautiful upbringing on a 10-acre property, with dad being in the racing industry. Mum and dad had their own business. They worked from home. I'd come home from school. Mum and dad were there. We had people come over, all the, family, friends. We just had we were surrounded by love and connection and support and safety my whole childhood. Our families, my mum's one of 7, my dad is one of 4. I had 4 grandparents in my life growing up, which are still, which were together. I have 7 on my mum's side, 4 on my dad's side, including my mum and dad. Everyone's still married, they're all alive. They're all maybe, 60s, pushing 70. Now, some late 50s. Yeah, all had children. Everyone's alive, everyone's healthy, everyone's well. There's a couple, there's obviously things in every family. There's obviously, skeletons in every family. There's obviously things in every family. But overall, I didn't have any of the growing up, no abuse, no trauma, no DV, no big things, no, yes, we've lost people in our lives. Yes, we've, dealt with death. Yes, we've had issues like everybody else. But overall speaking, my childhood was incredible. I am so eternally grateful for we can't help what we're born into. And I'm grateful for what I was born into, and the parents that, and the sisters that I'm still incredibly close with. I married my childhood sweetheart we met at 16. We've got 2 kids. We've traveled. We've had an amazing, amazing life. We're doing what I'm doing what I love for work, and my life has been incredibly, incredibly blessed. So I would think, yes, we've had struggles. Yes, we've had things we've had to overcome. Like every family, like every person, we're battling with things. But overall, if I was to look at, say, from a trauma perspective, I didn't grow up in that. And I've been very, very fortunate and very blessed. And my reason for sharing that with you is because I started to think, not that I wanted it, but I would start to think, well, I haven't had anything major in my life. Like, I went to an event recently with a beautiful friend of mine. She was taking the day event, and I saw her speaking, and she's had a lot of trauma, a lot of abandonment, a lot of things. And I saw the crowd who was there, majority of them like connect with her. And I sat there for a moment and I thought about how what I feel my mission and my purpose is really normalizing spirituality for the everyday woman. And there are a lot of women out there that relate to me because they've told me, and they've been on retreats with me and have said the same thing. Like, they've said on retreats, for instance, they said, I've seen a couple of the girls have some deep things that they're working through, and I haven't been exposed to that. And I feel a little bit, maybe I don't want to share my story because it's not that bad. And I feel like I want to hide that little part of myself because I know somebody else is going through something that's really traumatic. And I noticed sitting in that day retreat that I was on with this group of girls and group of people and the friend of mine, I thought about it and I went, we need teachers for everyone. She relates to her crowd. Her people who were there had been through similar situations in their own unique way that she had been through, and she was teaching on. Then there are women like myself that might relate to me. There are women that have been through some significant trauma that take a lot of my teachings and it really helps them. And then there are other women who, like myself, have grown up in beautiful households, who have grown up in beautiful families, and are just opening up to healing other insecurities or other challenges that they have faced. So I had to really look at myself and go, you can still be an amazing teacher and you can still share your gifts with the world and you can still bring light into people's lives just by being you and your story, because your story is going to relate to certain people. Your story may piss people off. There might be people that do not relate to me at all. And I've had people say that to me. I've had people say, we didn't all have a perfect childhood like you, and it has caused resistance and disconnection to people, and that is fine. I'm okay with that. I wasn't at the time. That made me again question everything and go, well, I'm not a good enough teacher. And then there are women that have really found peace in my teaching, that have really found relatability in my teaching and have really connected with me on their journey because they can see myself in them and they can take things out of what I share and help it impart wisdom and learning in their life. Because how I guess I'm a little bit different in my journey is I chose to do the healing work. I chose to do the inner work. I chose to go down a spiritual path, not out of force, not out of trying to fix something that I felt I was broken in. Don't worry, there's plenty of things I felt like I was broken in, and you hear all through the podcast. But it wasn't like I was overcoming a deep trauma. I chose, and my journey is unique because I wanted to dive into really discovering more about myself and learning more about myself through little things that have happened along my journey, because I believe that to return to wholeness or to remember who you are or to return to that authentic, aligned version, that spiritual version of yourself, we get caught up in the human world. And yes, we're here to live a beautiful human experience, absolutely. But we can get caught up in the ego world, the materialism, the keeping up with people, the self-judgment, the feeling of being inadequate, the feeling of not being good enough, the fear of being seen, the fear of being heard, the worry about what people think, the lack of confidence, the judgment that we give to ourselves on our bodies. These are all things that we need to heal to return back to that state of wholeness, because our spirit, excuse me, that spiritual being, that spiritual essence of us sees us through pure, unconditional love. It's like looking through the eyes of God. That's something I read and heard multiple times from Esther Hicks, that it sat with me and I thought, God looks at me, he looks at you, whether it's a he, whether it's a universal being, divine, whatever, interpret it however you want. The universe sees us, God's source universe sees us as pure, unconditional love, the way that we look at our children, the way that we look at a little baby, the way that we look at people that we love, we see them through the eyes of love. We see them through the eyes of just pure perfection, the way a child looks at us. They, maybe not when they're older, but when they're younger, just kidding, they look at us just with pure love. They just love us for who we are. Yet we don't love ourselves for who we are. So the healing process can come back to overcoming and having to heal through our self-worth, having to heal through self-acceptance, having to heal through learning to love on ourselves, having to heal the belief that we are worthy, having to heal maybe, something that happened when you were in high school that somebody said to you that, has left a scar with you. It might not be a big trauma that you had to undergo as a child, but it can be something that somebody said to you in the schoolyard, or something that someone said to you, whether you were fat as you were younger or made fun of you, or, I used to be self-conscious about my red hair, something that has stuck with you, and it's left this way that you look at yourself as not being whole, not being complete, not being good enough. That is a way of healing, right? We have to overcome those. We have to overcome those, whether it's those scars that we've endured, whether it's those unkind words, but it's this belief in ourselves as not being good enough, not being complete, not being whole. Sometimes we have to heal our body because we've intoxicated it, whether it's, through alcohol, through sugar, through foods, through lack of nourishment, lack of self-care, lack of actually taking care of ourselves. So it could come from a place of actually having to heal our body. It can be healing by the way that we look at our body. We look in the mirror and we don't see that pure love, that pure source energy, that pure perfection. We see overweight, we see cellulite, we see, I wish my bum was smaller. I wish my thighs was smaller and had a gap. I wish my stomach was a bit flatter. We look in the mirror and we see things that aren't good enough, right? This impacts the way we carry ourselves through the world. This impacts our relationships with our partner and people around us. This impacts us opening up into our divine talents and doing what we're supposed to do in the world because we don't feel good enough. So that is in a way of having to heal, having to heal ourselves back into this state of wholeness, the way our spirit sees us. If I like to think, you interpret it how you will, we're a spiritual being having a human experience, right? So this spiritual being, this soul being comes in as pure perfection. Like when you look at a child, like the child looks through the world through the eyes of curiosity, the eyes of awe, the eyes of beauty, the eyes of just everything's, something new to learn. They look through the world and they don't look at their body and go, I'm fat, as a 2-year-old child, like they just accept who they are. Then as we go through life, we have these layers of conditioning. We have these layers of exposure to media, exposure to family, exposure to other people, exposure to school, exposure to the workplace, that all of these layers start to build up on top of us, that we're not good enough, that we don't look perfect, we don't fit in. Who am I to go and do this? Who am I to use my voice? That person's better than me. And these are all layers that we take on, like this toxicity that we take on, and our way we see ourselves gets further and further away from that source child that we come into the world of seeing us as just it just is. We just, are who we are. And so that is a way of healing that we need to strip back those layers and start to see ourselves through the eyes of God, the eyes of source, the eyes of pure unconditional love. That can be a journey of healing. So do you see my points? It doesn't have to, healing is different. We all have something we need to heal from. It can be healing from a broken relationship. It can be healing from a job loss. It can be healing from money problems and, this state of lack, getting through the world with this constant feeling of lack or never having good enough, never being enough. There's so many things that we need to heal from. And I know, go back to previous episodes when I talk about getting, my breast implants in when I was 33 and never feeling good enough in my body, not feeling adequate enough, not feeling that I looked good enough, and having a lot of insecurities, thinking that my breast implants would fix that. And it wasn't until I went through that journey, and this is just, it's a small trauma in the grand scheme of things. There are other people that definitely go through bigger traumas through, this was self-inflicted, totally self-inflicted. And, there are definitely people that go through severe illnesses that they have to overcome. So I'm not saying that, some of you might listen to this and go, well, that's a bit stupid. You brought it on yourself. Yeah, I did, right? But I know that for me, having them, then removing them, it's like I got so consumed in that ego world, right? That ego of having to improve myself superficially on the exterior, that it wasn't until I decided to take them out, and go back to episodes 2 and 3, I talk about all of that. But it wasn't until that took me on a real healing journey to have to love on myself as this woman, scars and all, and love on myself for me, just for who I am, without the need to fix myself, without the need to better myself. And it was through that journey that I found a deeper love and a deeper self-acceptance, that I look back and I go, that was for me, that journey was like a return of a shift from ego to soul, like this return to authenticity, taking away like this ego, humanness part, and really reconnecting with that soul journey of me. And I think to myself, I remember when I was going through that and something popped in my head, and they said, because it was a bit shitty at the time, like not gonna lie, and I still have no judgment, no, if there are women out there that have them, I do not judge you, okay? I do not judge you. People are on their own journey at their own time, and that is fine. But I looked at it and went, Lise, what you have gone through is going to help women on a spiritual journey, because there are a lot of women that did the exact same thing as you, and it might not be through the implants, it might be through a whole heap of layers of things that they would use to better themselves or feel this need for validation, that you can help them become more complete. You can help them on their journey. You've gone through a shift from this more into a spiritual journey through that experience. You can help other women heal through that experience that you went through. So I really dove into a deep spiritual journey from that experience. I was kind of dabbling, let's just say dabbling, up until that journey about 3 years ago. Yeah. And it took me deep into the world of learning to trust myself. It took me deep into the spiritual world. It took me into a deep self-discovery journey that I then really dove into all things spiritual. And I found this version of myself that I really started to look at myself through the eyes of love, the eyes of seeing my body as being beautiful the way it is, whole the way it is. I experienced that. No one else changed their perspective of me. My husband didn't change the way my husband looked at me. It didn't change the way our intimacy, it didn't change anything. It was me that had to change on the inside. And I went through this healing journey through releasing a layer of insecurity, returning myself back to this state of wholeness, because I felt like I had to get them out of my body and return back to this state of wholeness, and then learn to love on myself all over again. And I remember being on my walk one day when I had all the implants taken out. I was a mess. I had scars and, still had the bandages on, being quite, why did I do this to myself in the first place? And I remember a voice popped inside my head, and it said, like, Lise, you're going to help so many women through this. And it was from that moment that I shifted my perspective and went, this is going to help me on my healing journey, but it's also going to help a lot of other women just show up and be raw and vulnerable and just tell people how it is. There's nothing that you need to be embarrassed about. There's nothing that you need to hide. Just speak your truth. And it really gave me the confidence to just show up and be who I am and share what I was going through open and vulnerably. And from that moment, I had so many women reach out to me and say, you've really helped me. Thank you. You stopped me from I was thinking about getting implants and I've really changed the way I look at things, or who's your doctor? I need some support. I want to go through the same thing. And it made me feel, I guess, a little bit more safer to just be myself and just speak my truth. And from there, I opened up and I started sharing a bit more. And that's when my podcast was kind of born, because this is episode 2 and 3. Like if you go back to episodes 1, 2, and 3, that was all around the time that my podcast started to come out. So through that, my point in all of that is we all go through healing in our own unique way. We all have little triggers or moments in our life that we go through, I guess, a healing journey. But also, some people get, I guess, forced to overcome something in their life that they've gone through in a traumatic experience. And some people make a choice. So I made a choice to do the inner work. I made a choice to put boundaries up, say no to a lot of things, and really go into a bit of a hibernation bubble for a couple of years. I really connected deeply with myself and got so clear on my values, got so clear on who I am, got so clear on what I want to share with the world, on the purpose that I'm here for. It was elective, right? Nobody forced me to do it. So I'm telling you this to go, girls, there is no right or wrong way to go on a spiritual or healing journey. You don't need to feel that you need to have something big and traumatic in your life to make a difference. Everybody has their own unique journey. Everybody has their own story, and your story is valid. Your story is important. Your story is here to be shared, is here to help somebody else. It could be your children, it could be your best friend, it could be your partner, it could be with what you show up to do in your line of work and what your purpose is, or what your mission is, or this creative outlet that comes through for you. It is so unique to you, and it is so important for you to not judge your progress, not judge your journey, not judge or compare your trauma or your healing or what you've had to overcome to anybody else, because it is valid, it is relevant, and it's important to you. And everybody has a story. Everybody's story is going to help impact somebody in their life. So don't hold yourself back, and don't feel like you need to dim your light or you need to play small because you don't feel that you're good enough or that you're worthy enough. And that healing can come in so many different ways. There's no scale of a bigger than healing journey, or a lesser than, or a more traumatic, because sometimes people can also get lost in this healing journey or lost in their trauma that it defines them. Like we had just on Easter, we had a family thing, and I was talking to, it's just like everyone had left, and it was just like my immediate family left, and my brother-in-law, who I love dearly, and he has been through a couple of, he did have a bit of a rough upbringing and did go through some quite severe trauma. And we were just talking about things with health and wellness and fitness. He was asking for my advice on a few things, and he said, he said something around his, oh yeah, I can do that, but my mental health gets the better of me sometimes. And I said, fuck that shit. Like, don't hide behind that story. You have done so much work behind your healing journey. He's done so much work and done so many amazing things. And I'm seeing such a trend, such a change in him over the years. But I said to him, that is bullshit. Like, you cannot hide behind the mental health excuse, because you're in a really great place, and that is going to hold you back for the rest of your life if you blame that, because that's just an excuse at the moment. Because we're talking about something simple, right? We're talking about like getting up and exercising and doing things in his day to start his day, right? When he works away. And I said, if you hide behind that, it's just going to be an excuse that keeps you in your safe comfort zone. It's a story that you're going to continue to tell yourself. Like, you just need to stop that now. And it sounded a bit blunt. And he said to me, he goes, there's an eagle flying overhead, you guys. Freaking massive eagle. Again, a sign from the universe. Maybe you need to hear that, or maybe I was meant to share that, because I was a bit reluctant to even share that, because I thought, I don't want to offend people. But sometimes it's true, right? We can hide behind, or we can keep replaying the story of what we've been through, or the trauma that it defines us, and it makes us, that's just who I am. That was my upbringing. Like, I can't change it. Like, you can. You just have to be open and willing to do it. So whether you have suffered through something or whether you're electively going through a healing and a spiritual journey, the choice is yours. Everyone has a decision. Everybody has a choice they make to whether they better themselves, whether they grow, whether they learn, or whether they stay the same, or whether they stay stuck in their trauma. And like I said, the trauma can be something huge, and I'm not discounting that, or it can just be like something that is something that we've been telling ourselves for years and years and years of just the way I am. That's just the way I've been brought up. I'm just not confident. I'm just not a morning person. I'm just not pretty. I'm just not smart enough. Like, do you want to hide behind that forever? Or do you want to actually do something about it and make some choices? Because I can't make you do that. You are the only one responsible for doing that. So whether you go through it voluntarily or whether you go through it through a breaking point, that's your journey. We all have our own journey. The choice is yours, whether you decide to improve yourself, whether you decide to better yourself, whether you decide to seek help, whether it be through a professional, through a psychologist, through energy healers, through Reiki, through yoga, through connection to, this beautiful world that we live in, getting more grounded, getting through meditation, through journaling. There are so many different spiritual tools that you can use to help you on your spiritual journey. And I like to think of it as a toolkit. You pull out of it what you need at the time, and you go through different phases, but you need to learn the tools, right? So that you know what to pull on at that particular time. Then on the other extreme, talking about healing journeys, I found that you can get so engrossed, and this was me, in the healing journey, or in the wanting to better yourself, or in the self-improvement, or in the connection to source, spirituality, meditation, the other time that you can forget to live, right? Or you can be like I've shared with you, sometimes even my kids say, Mum, we don't want you to be the teacher, just be mum. And because I can get so tied up in the reading all the books, going on the courses, like really taking on so much personal development, spiritual development, that I look at I feel like I need to help everyone, or I need to fix everything, or I'm constantly looking in that journey of self-improvement. How can I better myself? How can I need to read a bit today, or I need to do this. That sometimes it is easy to get caught up in that you forget to maybe live a little bit, or you forget to just have fun along the way, or you forget to just be mum, or you forget to just not trying to, I've definitely been caught up in this where I want to try and fix my partner or help him so much that sometimes I go, we just need to go out and have fun again, which is why I'm looking forward to this road trip that we're going on next week. And when I go to Bali in retreat in a couple of weeks after that, he's going to join me over there, and we're going to spend a bit of time, I will, on retreat in Ubud and all those amazing things that I do in retreat. And then I'm going to go and meet him. I think we're staying like at the W in Seminyak, which is just those, just a bloody great hotel where, we might have a couple of cocktails, and we probably will. And, we can just have some fun and just have fun as a couple, and so sometimes I feel we can get so caught up in this healing journey that we are constantly looking for improvement, that we forget to just be in the moment of just feeling what it feels like to be a human. And that's where I have to remind myself sometimes, go and ground yourself. When I can feel like I'm up in the clouds so much, go and just ground yourself. Hence why I'll come out here and I'll swim, or I'll get my feet on the grass to reconnect me to my humanness. And there is a song that I love. It's on my Raising My Vibration playlist, and on Spotify, Lisa Everding, one word, follow that. It's a great playlist. And there's a song on there called Healing Is Not My Purpose. And I want to read out a couple of lines from this song. And it says here, I'm remembering the freedom to be here and live an enjoyable life. It's not for me to always be all about self-improvement. I trust, I relax, I enjoy myself. It's more than okay to take a break from healing. I take as many breaks as I need from always analyzing my behavior. I listen more to my heart than protests of my logical mind. I invite spontaneity and transcend habit into my life. My purpose is to be in joy. My purpose is to feel amazing with myself. My purpose is to realize who I am being as love. My purpose is to enjoy food. My purpose is to reinvent fun. My purpose is to express who I am. My purpose is to satisfy my soul. My purpose is to inspire through my being. My purpose is to have fun. I'm no longer orienting around pain. I'm organizing around pleasure. It says, I can release the control to heal and allow what has happened to me for me. I let the great I am do the heavy lifting. I claim space for miracles on my behalf. And blah, blah, blah. I know I am whole. My evolution does not depend on my work alone. I release any spiritual obsessions or compulsions to fix any perceived brokenness in my life and in the world. I know the real change is letting go of attachment and controlling outcomes. My living is the healing. Life is purpose in itself. My healing is not my purpose. And I wanted to share that with you because sometimes I feel that, and I know it from women in my community, I know it from myself, that we can work so hard on wanting to better ourselves that we can actually block ourselves from having that little bit of fun and enjoying the spontaneity in life. So I feel like we need that blend of both. Yes, we need to heal. Yes, we need to grow. Yes, we need to better ourselves. Yes, we're here for our soul to grow and to expand and to evolve. And we do not want to stay stagnant. Absolutely. But the Earth Angel philosophy, right? We're here in this earthly body, connected to this spiritual being, this big universal energy, God source universe, but also our own unique soul is an expression of that in this body. We're here to live. We're here to feel the pleasure in food. We're here to feel the pleasure in taking a swim. We're here to feel the pleasure in making love to our partner. We're here to feel the pleasure in having fun with our family and having fun with our loved ones. We're here to go and explore the world. We're here to have pleasure in daily moments. You know, it's okay to take a break from healing. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to, like people said to me sometimes I feel like, oh no, I better be careful what I say in the podcast. I can't drop an F-bomb. What will people think? And it's okay to just be human. It's okay to be real. We don't have to be perfect all the time. So many women have said to me, I love your podcast because you're so relatable. It's not so, perfectly curated, or it's not so saying the right thing all the time. You just show us how to be real and still integrate this spiritual journey. And that is what I feel part of my passion in my purpose is normalizing spirituality for the everyday woman, helping you return back to that wholeness, to remember who you are, to live in more of an authentic version of yourself and express yourself, but teach you how to use the spiritual tools to help you get through your life, to help you move with more grace, more ease, more flow, but also to have fun. I'm the first to admit I love having fun. I love letting my hair down. I love tearing it up on the jet ski. I love travel. I will swear occasionally. I love indulging in beautiful foods, and that, I'm not about having the perfect body anymore. I used to feel like I had to have this perfect facade because of my job and what I presented as a personal trainer. Then I went through this coming into more of a spiritual role, that, okay, I can't swear, I can't do this, I can't, I have to be very, very conscious of what I present and doing the right things all the time. We're here to enjoy this beautiful life. We're here to have a human experience in our physical body, but still remembering our soul and still honoring her and connecting with her. And the more you can get more connected with her, the more you can follow that soul calling, listen to your soul. She is going to help you expand. She's going to help you evolve. She's going to help you grow. But she also wants to experience that inner wild woman and to have fun, because we do get caught up in the humanness of the world where we want to do the right thing. We want to be seen and perceived a certain way. We want to fit in. We want to better ourselves and have a certain title or have a certain amount of wealth. There's certain things that we feel we have to do in this lifetime. I want to invite you today to get back into going, fuck all that. What do I want? What do I actually want? What makes my soul happy? How am I supposed to be here and live? Honoring my soul, but also honoring having this beautiful human experience. So I hope that has helped. I hope that has really, helped you understand a little bit around your healing is valid. Your healing is so unique to you, and It's not bigger than, better than, less than. It's not insignificant. You are here to share your story. You are here to be your unique, authentic soul self. You are here, just like the woman next to you, to enjoy this beautiful life. We're all here to have beautiful experiences. We're all here. We're all worthy of having the lover that we want, the job or the purpose that we want, the money that we want, the body that we want, the lifestyle that we want. When you get back to what it is that you want, and you start to overcome a lot of those limiting blocks and beliefs that have been holding you back, and get so connected with that inner soul self of yours, it's like you release these chains, girls. It's like you let go of this weight of what you have to be, and you get back connected to who you want to be. And that's the healing, right? The healing is returning to that remembrance of who you are at a soul level, getting aligned with your values, your purpose, your intentions, what it is that you want. That is part of your healing journey, because we've all accumulated layers and beliefs and feeling that we have to present a certain way. I invite you today to start healing by letting go of those things and returning back to who you are. And that's what I'm here for, to help you, teach you the tools of how to do that, to put you in a beautiful community of like-minded women who will support you on your journey and who will help you embrace you for who you are. But it starts with you healing that by you learning to embrace who you really are. And girls, I believe we're here for a lifelong healing journey. You know, we're going to go through stages of healing, stages of just, enjoying life and just, maybe feeling the challenges, but there's growth and healing in our challenges. There's growth and healing in our so-called rejections. There's growth and healing in the universe is lining things up for you, and it's how you look at it, how you perceive it. And the healing can come from just shifting your perspective as well, how you see yourself, how you see things that come up for you. There are so many ways that you can heal, and I honestly believe we are our own healer. Everybody is our own. I'm a healer, you're a healer. And one thing that I really had to overcome was even the word healer. I remember reading back in a reading that I got many, many years ago before I started my healing, my personal training journey, before I started this line of work. And I was still, I was working in admin at the time, an electrical company. And I remember getting this printout of I can't remember what it's called, but your life path. And it said in there that you are going to, part of your life path is yoga, healing hands. And I remember going, I don't even know what this is all about, and kind of popped it into the drawer and pulled it out just not so long ago. And then sitting with that and looking at myself as, even the word Reiki is a form of healing. I'm going to do that today. And looking at myself as a healer. We're all healers. Some people heal through their creativity. Some people heal through their music. Some people heal through their voice. Some people heal through being a psychologist. Some people heal through teaching yoga. Some people heal through teaching children in school or helping people as a nurse. We are all our own healer. We've all got healing abilities. And when you get more connected with Source, when you get more connected with that divine essence of love, that light within you, you open up your inner healer and you can heal yourself. Yes, we have support in people, psychologists, energy healers, books, podcasts, courses, oracle cards, all of those tools that are available to us. Absolutely, they help us on our healing journey. There is no right or wrong, but at the end of the day, you can be your biggest healer. When you get connected with your soul, she will tell you. God, Source, Universe will tell you, will show you the way of how you can improve yourself, how you can better yourself, how you can heal from what you've come through. And we'll just keep healing until we'll just keep growing. We'll just keep bettering ourselves until the day we die. I think that's part of our human experience, but part of our other human experience is to be here to have fun, remembering that life is purpose in itself. My healing is not my purpose, but it is part of the journey, angels. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next episode. So much love to you. Bye.